these things. It is simply called etiquette. Perhaps suppose it's wrong, can't keep it up all day long. If that's your idea, you're wrong. If that's your idea, you're wrong. If tomorrow moving on, we are tempted not to cry. On horse and on free and on many, 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 many a job. One goes and jogs on street and
Gentlemen, I pray you tell me where a gentle maiden dwelleth named Yum Yum. The word of cocoa, in pity speak, oh speak, I pray you.
Why, who are you who asked this question?
Come gather round me, and I'll tell you. A wandering minstrel, I, a thing of shreds and patches, of ballad songs and snatches, and dreamy lullaby. My catalogue is long through every passion ranging, and to your humors changing, I tune my supple song. I tune my supple song. Are you in sentimental mood? I'll sigh with you. Oh, sorrow, on maiden's coldness do you brood. I'll do so too. Oh, sorrow, sorrow. I'll charm your willing ears with songs of lovers' fears. While sympathetic tears my cheeks bid you. Ah, sorrow, sorrow. But if patriotic sentiment is wanted, I've patriotic ballads cut and dried. For where'er a country's banner may be planted, all other local banners are defied. Our warriors in serried ranks assembled, never quail or they conceal it if they do. And I shouldn't be surprised if nations trembled before the mighty troops, the troops of Titipu.
shouldn't be surprised if nations tremble with love. Before the mighty troops of Titipu.
And if you call for a song of the sea, we'll heave a capstan around, with the yo-heave-ho for the wind to his feet, her anchors a trip and her helms a leap, hurrah for the homeward bound.
Yo-ho-hee-ho, hurrah for the homeward bound.
To lay aloft in a howling breeze may tickle a landsman's taste, but the happiest hour a sailor sees is when he's down at an inland town with his Nancy on his knee. Yo-ho! And his arm around her waist.
Then land the capstan of Rico as the fiddler swings us round. With the yo-heave-ho and a rum-dee-lo, hurrah for the homeward bound. With the yo-heave-ho and a rum-dee-lo. Yo-ho-ho,
of shreds and patches, of ballad songs and snatches, and dreamy lullaby, and dreamy
And what may be your business with Yum Yum?
I'll tell you. A year ago, I was a member of the Titty-Poo Town Band. It was my duty to take the cat round for contributions. While discharging this delicate office, I saw Yum Yum. We loved each other at once, but she was betrothed to her guardian, Coco, a cheap tailor. And I saw that my suit was hopeless. Overwhelmed with despair, I quitted the town. Judge of my delight when a month ago I learned that Coco had been condemned to death for flirting. I hurried back at once in the hope of finding Yum Yum at liberty to listen to my protestations.
It is true that Coco was condemned to death for flirting, but he was reprieved at the very last moment and raised to the exalted rank of Lord High Executioner under the following remarkable circumstances. Great Mikado, virtuous man, when he to rule our land began, resolved to try a plan whereby young men might best be steadied. So he decreed in words succinct that all who flirted, leered or winked, unless connubially linked, should forthwith be beheaded, 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 should forthwith be beheaded. And I am sure you'll all agree that he was right to so decree. And I am right, and you are right, and all is right as right can be. And you are right to be, you're right, and all is right as right can be. And all is right as right can be. Right as right can be. This stern decree you will understand caused great dismay throughout the land, for young and old and shy and bold were equally affected. The youth who winked a roving eye or breathed a non-connubial sigh was thereupon condemned to die. He usually objected. He usually objected. And you'll allow, as I expect, that he was right to so object. And I am right, and you are right, and everything is quite correct. And you are right, and we are right, and everything is quite correct. And everything is quite correct. All is quite correct. And so we straight let out on bail a convict from the county jail, whose head was next on some pretext condemned to be mown off, and made him headsman, for we said, who's next to be decapitated cannot cut off another's head until he's cut his own off, his own off, his own off, until he's cut his own off. And we are right, I think you'll say, to argue in this kind of way. And I am right, and you are right, and all is right to Lord. And you are right, and we are right, and all is right to Lord. And you are right, and you are right, and all is right.
The cheap tailor, Lord High Executioner of Titty-Poo. Why, that's the highest rank a citizen can attain.
It is our logical Mikado. Oh, Mikado. Seeing no moral difference between the dignified judge who condemns a criminal to die and the industrious mechanic who carries out the sentence, has rolled the two offices into one, and every judge is now his own executioner. Chop, chop. Brilliant concept, n'est-ce pas?
Oh, but how good of you, for I can see that you are a nobleman of the highest rank, to condescend to tell all this to me, a mere strolling minstrel.
Don't mention it. I am, in point of fact, a particularly haughty and exclusive individual of pre-Adamite ancestral descent.
No!
Yes. You will understand this when I tell you that I can trace my family ancestry back to a protoplasmal primordial atomic globule.
Really?
Yes. Consequently, my family pride is something quite inconceivable. Well, I can't help it. I was born sneering. But I struggle hard to overcome this one defect. I mortify my pride continually. Why, when all the great officers of state resigned in a body because they were too proud to serve under an ex-tailor, did I not unhesitatingly accept all their posts at once?
And the salaries attached to them.
I beg your pardon?
You did.
Yes. It is, consequently, my degrading duty to serve this upstart Coco as First Lord of the Treasury, Lord Chamberlain, Attorney General, Chancellor of the Exchequer, First Minister of Sports and Cultural Affairs, First Minister of Health and Welfare, First Minister of Transportation and Communication, Leader of the Caucus and Plenary Sessions, Head Groom and Scooper of the Imperial Palatial Polo Ponies, Lord High Snitch to the Mikado, Mikado, Archbishop of Titipu, and Lord Mayor, both acting and elect. All these and more rolled into one. And at a salary. A poobah paid for his services. I, a salaried minion. And I do it. It revolts me, but I do it.
And it does you credit.
But I don't just stop at that. No. I go and dine with middle-class people on reasonable terms. I dance at cheap suburban parties for a moderate fee. I accept refreshments from any hand, however lowly. I also retail state secrets for a very low figure. For instance, any further information regarding Yum Yum would come under the head of state secret. Another insult, but I think a light one.
Young man despair, likewise go to Yum Yum the fair. You must not woo, it will not do. I'm sorry for you, you very imperfect ablutioner. This very day from school, Yum Yum who went away and homeward come with beat of drum and a rum-tum-tum to wed the Lord High Executioner. And the brass will crash and the trumpets bray and they'll cut to dash on the wedding day. She'll toddle away as Oliver with the Lord High Executioner.
And the brass will crash and the trumpets bray and they'll cut to dash on the wedding day. She'll toddle away as Oliver with the Lord High Executioner.
It's a hopeless case, as you may see, and in your place away I'd flee. But don't blame me, I'm sorry to be of your pleasure a diminutioner. They'll bow their pact extremely soon. In point of fact, this afternoon, her honeymoon with that buffoon at 7 commences, so you should know. And the brass will crash, and the trumpets bray, and they'll cut to dash on the wedding day. She'll toddle away as Oliver with the Lord High Executioner.
And the brass will crash, and the trumpets bray, and they'll cut to dash on the wedding day. She'll toddle away as Oliver with the Lord High Executioner.
And have I journeyed for a month or nearly to learn that Yum Yum whom I love so dearly. This day to Coco is to be united.
The fact appears to be as you've recited. But here he comes, equipped as suits his station. He'll give you any further information.
Taken from a county jail by a set of curious chances, liberated then on bail, on me unrecognized answers, wafted by a favouring gale, as one sometimes is in trances, to a height that few can scale, save my long and weary dances, surely never had a mail, under such like circumstances, so adventurous a tale, which may rank with most romances. Taken from a county jail by a set of curious chances, surely never had a mail, so adventurous a tale. Never, never, to the Lord my executioner. Never, never, to the Lord, Lord, to the Lord, Lord, my executioner. I am much touched by this reception. I can only trust that by strict attention to duty, I shall ensure a continuance of those favors which it will ever be my study to deserve. If I should ever be called upon to act professionally...
Hi!
I am happy to think that there will be no difficulty in finding plenty of people whose loss will be a distinct gain to society at large. As someday it may happen that a victim must be found, I've got a little list of society offenders who might well be underground and who never would be missed. There's the pestilential nuisances who write for autographs, or people who have flabby hands and irritating laughs, or children who do Rubik's Cube in 15 seconds flat, or persons who in shaking hands shake hands with you like that, and all third persons who on spoiling tete-a-tetes insist. They never would be missed, they none of them be missed.
He's got them on the list, he's got them on the list, and they'd none of them be missed, they'd none of them be missed.
There's the sidewalk serenader with his open music case and the pseudo-soloist. I've got me on the list and the orchestra conductor who just now has lost his place. He never would be missed. He never would be missed. The Canadian who praises with enthusiastic tone all centuries but this and every country but his own. And the lady from the provinces who's seldom out at night and who doesn't think she dances until she's rather tight. And that leading personality, the smoking separatist, I don't think he'd be missed. I know he'd not be missed.
He's got him on the list. He's got him on the list. And I don't think he'll be missed. We know he'll not be missed.
And the people now in Parliament who regulate our life, who on 6 and 5 insist, I've got them on the list. Our perennial Prime Minister, though not perhaps his wife, they never would be missed. They never would be missed. And the geriatric statesmen of the never-dying kind, such as whatchamacallem, Thingamabob, and Ronnie, never mind. There's Funny Face. What's his name? Oh, Joe, you know who. The task of filling up the blanks I'd rather leave to you. But it really doesn't matter whom you put upon the list, for they'd none of them be missed. They'd none of them be missed.
You may put them on the list. You may put them on the list. And they'd none of them be missed. They'd none of them be missed.
Then the patrons of the theatre who clap their hands in glee for the pseudo-soloist, I've got you on the list. And the encores of these patter songs demanded gratis free. They never would be missed. Of course you will insist. The artistical arrangement of strings, woodwinds and drums, the fiddle players, trumpeters and tympanic guns, percussionists, pianists and polyphonics too. The chorus and the principals, you must agree they'll do. So it really doesn't matter if they're not upon the list, for they surely would be missed. They surely would be missed.
You may leave us off the list. You may leave us off the list. For we surely would be missed. We surely would be missed.
Hooba! What? It seems that the festivities in connection with my approaching marriage must last a week. Now, I should like to do it handsomely, and I want to consult you as to the amount I ought to spend upon them.
Why, certainly. In which of my many capacities, as First Lord of the Treasury, Lord Chamberlain, Attorney General, Chancellor of the Exchequer, Privy Purse, or Private Secretary?
Oh, suppose we say as private secretary.
Oh, speaking as your private secretary, I should say as the city will have to pay for it. Don't stint yourself, do it well.
Exactly. As the city will have to pay for it, don't stint yourself, do it well. That is your advice.
That's why I say it, speaking as private secretary, I says the city will have to pay for it. Don't stint yourself, do it well. Of course, you will understand that as Chancellor of the Exchequer, I am bound to see that due economy is observed.
But you said just now, don't stint yourself, do it well.
So, as private secretary.
And now you say that due economy must be observed.
As Chancellor of the Exchequer.
I see. Well, come over here where the Chancellor can't hear us. Now, as my solicitor, how do you advise me to deal with this difficulty?
Speaking as your solicitor, I should have no hesitation in saying, chance it.
Thank you. I will.
But, of course, as your Prime Minister, I am bound to see that the law of the land isn't violated.
I see. Well, come over here where the Prime Minister can't hear us. Now, as First Lord of the Treasury.
Oh, as First Lord of the Treasury, I could propose a special vote that would cover all expenses. But then, as leader of the opposition, it would be my duty to resist it tooth and nail. As Master General, I could so cook the accounts that as Lord High Auditor, I should never ever discover the fraud. But then, as Archbishop of Titipu, it would be my duty to denounce my dishonesty and get myself into my own custody as First Commissioner of Police.
That's extremely awkward.
Yes. Now, I don't say that all these distinguished people couldn't be squared, but it would be right to tell you that they wouldn't be sufficiently degraded in their own estimation, unless, of course, they were insulted with a very considerable B-R-I-B-E.
The matter shall have my careful consideration. But my bride and her sister's approach, and any little compliment on your part, such as an abject grovel.
Bravo!
In a characteristic Japanese attitude, would be esteemed a favor.
No money, no grovel.
little bride that is to be.
Oh, you're not going to kiss me before all these people.
Well, that was the idea.
Oh, it seems odd, doesn't it?
It is rather peculiar. Oh, I expect it's all right. Must have a beginning, you know.
Well, of course, I know nothing about these things, but I've no objection if it's usual.
Oh, it's quite usual, I think. Hey, Lord Chamberlain.
I have known it done.
Thank goodness that's over.
Eyes, a thing of shreds and patches.
Why, that's never you.
I beg your pardon. Will you present me? Oh, well, one at a time, if you please.
Sir, I have the misfortune to love your ward.
What?
Yum, yum. Oh, I know I deserve your anger.
Oh, anger? Not a bit, my boy. Why, I love her myself. Charming little girl, isn't she? Pretty eyes, nice hair, taking little thing all together. Very glad to hear my opinion backed by a competent authority. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Take him away.
I beg your pardon, but what is this? Customer come to try on?
You are looking at a family tree.
Go away, little girl. Can't talk to a little girl like you. Now go away. There's a dear.
Allow me to present you, Poopa. These are my 3 wards, and this is my bride-elect.
What do you want me to do to them? Chop, chop. Mind you, I will not kiss them.
No, you shan't kiss them. A little bow.
Bow!
A mere nothing. You needn't mean it, you know.
Oh, it goes against the grain. They are not young ladies. They are young persons.
Come, make an effort. There's a good nobleman.
Well, I shan't mean it.
Howdy-do, little girls. Howdy-do.
Oh, my protoplasmal ancestor!
That's very good.
Sure! It is very difficult and painful for me to have to say, howdy-do, little girls, howdy-do. I am not in the habit of having to say howdy-do to anyone under the rank of a stockbroker.
Oh, don't laugh at him. He can't help it. He's under treatment for it. Never mind them. They don't understand the delicacy of your position.
Which delicate position?
Oh, all of them. He's all right. Just don't forget, he simply thrives on etiquette.
So please very much regret if we have failed in etiquette. Towards a better rank so high, we shall know better by and by. But youth, of course, must have this fling, so pardon us, so pardon us. And don't in Gilbert's happy spring be hard on us, if we're inclined to dance and sing tra-la-la-la-la-la. But youth, of course, must have this fling, so pardon us. And don't in Gilbert's happy spring be hard on us. But youth, of course, must have this fling, so pardon us. Tra-la-la-la-la-la, 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 tra-la-la-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la.
I think you ought to recollect you cannot show too much respect toward the highly titled few, but nobody does, and why should you? That youth that us should have its fling is hard on us, to our prerogative we cling, so pardon us if we decline to dance and sing.
Tra-la-la-la-la, but you, of course, must have its fling, so pardon us, and don't in good, must have its fling be hard on us.
after we are alone.
Oh.
I've sought you night and day for 3 weeks in the belief that your guardian was beheaded, and I find you're about to be married to him this afternoon.
Alas. Yes.
But you do not love him.
Alas. No.
Modified rapture. But why do you not refuse him?
What good would that do? He is my guardian, and he wouldn't let me marry you.
But I would wait until you were of age.
You forget that in Japan, girls do not arrive at years of discretion until they are 50.
True. From 17 to 49 are considered years of indiscretion.
Besides, a wandering minstrel who plays a wind instrument outside tea houses is hardly the fitting husband for the ward of a Lord High Executioner.
But shall I tell her? Yes, she'll not betray me. What if it should prove that, after all, I am no musician?
There! I knew it! Directly I heard you play.
What if it should prove that I am no other than the son of His Majesty, the Mikado?
The son of the Mikado. Ah, Mikado. Oh. Why is your Highness disguised? And what has your Highness done? And will your Highness promise never to do it again?
Some years ago, I had the misfortune to captivate Katasha, an elderly lady of my father's court. She misconstrued my customary affability into expressions of affection and claimed me in marriage under my father's law. My father, the Lucius Junius Brutus of his race, ordered me to marry her within a week or perish ignominiously on the scaffold.
Oh.
That night, I fled his court, and assuming the disguise of a second trombone, I joined the band in which you found me when I had the happiness of seeing you.
If you please, I think your Highness had better not come too near. The laws against flirting are excessively severe.
But we are quite alone, and nobody can see us.
Still, that don't make it right. To flirt is capital.
It is capital.
And we must obey the law.
Oh, deuce take the law.
I wish it would. But it won't.
Not for that, how happy we might be.
Happy indeed.
If it were not for the law, we might be sitting side by side, like this.
Instead of being obliged to be sitting a half a mile off. Like this.
We might be gazing into each other's eyes, like this.
Breathing sighs of unutterable love. Like this. Oh.
With our arms around each other's waists. Like this.
Yes. If it wasn't for the law.
If it wasn't for the law.
As it is, of course. We couldn't do anything of the kind.
Not for worlds.
Being engaged to Coco, you know.
Or being engaged to Coco.
Were you not to Coco plighted, I would say in tender tone, loved one, let us be united, let us be each other's own. I would merge all rank and station, worldly sneers are not to us, and to mark my admiration, I would kiss you fondly thus. I would kiss you fondly thus.
But But as I'm engaged to Coco to embrace you thus, Confoco would distinctly be no joco, and for that I should get Toco.
Toco. So in spite of all temptation, such a theme I'll not discuss, and on no consideration would I kiss you fondly thus. Would I kiss you fondly thus? Let me make it clear to you, this is what I'll never do. This, oh this, oh this, oh this, this is what I'll never do. This, oh this, oh this, oh this, this is what I'll never do. I'll never do. Oh this, this. Is what I'll never
Oh, there goes Yum Yum. To think how entirely my future happiness is wrapped up in that little parcel. Ah, matrimony. Now then, what is it?
Well,
Can't you see I'm soliloquizing? You have interrupted an apostrophe, sir.
I'm the bearer of a letter from His Majesty the Mikado.
Oh, Mikado. The Mikado. What on earth did he have to say to me? Here it is at last. I knew it would come sooner or later. The Mikado was struck by the fact that no executions have taken place in Titipu for a year, and decrees that unless somebody is beheaded within 1 month, the post of Lord High Executioner shall be abolished, and the city reduced to the rank of a village.
But that will involve us all in irretrievable ruin.
Yes, there is no help for it. I shall have to execute someone at once. The only question is, who shall it be?
It seems unkind to say so, but since you're already under penalty of death for flirting, everything seems to point to you.
To me? What are you talking about? I can't execute myself.
And why not?
Why not? Because in the first place, self-decapitation is an extremely difficult, not to say dangerous thing to attempt. And in the second, it's suicide. And suicide's a capital offense.
That is so, no doubt.
We might reserve that point.
True, it could be argued 6 months hence before the full court.
Besides, I don't see how a man can cut off his own head.
Well, a man might try.
Even if he only succeeded in cutting it half off, that would be something.
True, it would be taken as an earnest of his willingness to comply with the imperial will. Also, Mikado,
No. Pardon me, there I am adamant. As official headsman, my reputation is at stake, and I can't consent to embark on a professional operation until I see my way clear to a successful result.
And this professional conscientiousness of yours is highly creditable to you, but it places us in a very awkward position.
My good sir, the awkwardness of your position is grace itself compared with that of a man engaged in the act of cutting off his own head.
Well, I'm afraid that unless you can obtain a substitute...
A substitute? Certainly nothing easier. Pooh-Bah, I appoint you Lord High Substitute.
Oh, I should be delighted. Such an appointment would realize my fondest dreams. But no, at any sacrifice, I must set bounds to my insatiable ambition.
I am so proud, if I allowed my family pride to be my guide, I'd volunteer to quit this sphere instead of you in a minute or two. But family pride must be denied and set aside and mortified and mortified.
My brain, it teems with endless schemes, both good and new, for titty-poo. But if I flit the benefit that I diffuse, the town would lose. Now every man to aid his clan should plot and plan as best he can.
I heard one day a gentleman say the criminals who are cut in two can hardly feel the fatal steel, and so are slain without much pain. If this is true, it's jolly for you, your courage grew to Prince adieu. I am so proud,
my brain, it
I allow the day I family right to be my guide. I volunteer to quit this sphere instead of you in a minute or two.
And so, although I'm ready to go, yet recollect what disrespected I neglect, to thus effect this aim direct, so I object.
And so, although I wish to go, and greatly pine to brightly shine and take the line of a hero fine with grief condign, I must decline. And go and show both friend and foe how much you dare. I'm quite aware it's your affair, yet I declare I take your share, but I don't much care.
I must decline, I must sit in solemn silence in a dull, dark dock, in a pestilential prison with a lifelong lock, awaiting the sensation of a short, sharp shock from a chippy chopper on a big black block. To sit in solemn silence in a dull, dark dock, in a pestilential prison with a lifelong lock, awaiting the sensation of a short, sharp shock from a chippy chopper on a big black block. A dull, dark dock, a lifelong lock, a short, sharp shock, a big black block. To sit in solemn silence in a pestilential prison and awaiting the sensation of a chippy chopper on a big black block. Sitting in solemn silence in a dull, dark dock, in a pestilential prison with a lifelong lock, awaiting the sensation of a short, sharp shock from a chippy chopper on a big black block. To sit in solemn silence in a dull, dark dock, in a pestilential prison with a lifelong lock, awaiting the sensation of a short, sharp shock from a chippy chopper on a big black block. A dull, dark dock, a lifelong lock, a short, sharp shock, a big black block. To sit in solemn silence in a pestilential prison and awaiting the sensation of a chippy chopper on a big black block.
This is simply appalling. I, who allowed myself to be respited at the last moment simply in order to benefit my native town, am now required to die within a month. And that by a man whom I've loaded with honors. Is this public gratitude? Is there... Oh, go away, sir. How dare you? Am I never to be permitted to soliloquize?
Oh, go on. Don't mind me.
What are you going to do with that rope?
I'm about to terminate an unendurable existence.
Terminate your existence? Nonsense, sir. What for?
Because you're going to marry the girl I adore.
Nonsense, sir. I won't permit it. I'm a humane man, and if you attempt anything of the kind, I shall order your instant arrest. Come, sir. Desist at once, or I summon my guard.
Oh, that's absurd. If you attempt to raise an alarm, I instantly perform the happy dispatch with this dagger.
Oh, no, this is horrible. Now, stop that. Why, you cold-blooded scoundrel. Are you aware that in taking your own life, you are committing a crime which substitute?
What's the matter?
Is it absolutely certain that you are resolved to die?
Absolute.
Will nothing whatever shake your determination?
Nothing.
Threats, entreaties, prayers, all useless.
All my mind's made up.
Then, if you really mean what you say, and if you're absolutely resolved to die, and if nothing whatever will shake your determination, don't spoil yourself by committing suicide, but be beheaded handsomely at the hands of the public executioner.
But I don't see how that would benefit me.
You don't. Observe. You'll have a month to live, and you'll live like a fighting cock at my expense. Now, when the day comes, there'll be a grand public ceremonial. You'll be the central figure. No one will attempt to deprive you of that distinction. There'll be a procession, bands, the Dead March, da 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 da, bells tolling, all the girls in tears, Yum distracted. Then, when it's all over, general rejoicings and a display of fireworks in the evening. You won't see them, but they'll be there all the same.
Do you think Yum would really be distracted at my death?
Oh, I am convinced of it, bless you. She's the most tender-hearted little creature alive.
I should be sorry to cause her pain. Perhaps, after all, if I were to withdraw from Japan and travel in Europe for a couple of years on a Canada Council grant, I might contrive to forget her.
Oh, no, I don't think you could forget Yum quite so easily. And after all, what is more miserable than a love-blighted life?
True.
Life without Yum, why, it seems absurd.
And yet there are a good many people in the world who have to endure it.
Poor devils, yes, you're quite right not to be of their number.
I won't be of their number.
Noble fellow.
I'll tell you how we'll manage it. You let me marry Yum tomorrow, and in a month, you may behead me.
No. I draw the line at Yum.
Oh, very well. If you can draw the line, so can I.
No. Now, stop, for heaven's sake. Be reasonable. You'll break your neck. How can I consent to your marrying Yum if I'm going to marry her myself?
My good friend, she'll be a widow in a month, and you can marry her then.
Oh, that's true, of course. I quite see that. Oh, but dear me, my position during the next month will be most unpleasant. Most unpleasant.
Oh, yes, but not half so unpleasant as my position at the end of it.
Well, dear me, Oh, well, I agree. After all, it's only putting off my wedding for a month. But you won't prejudice her against me, will you? You see, I've educated her to be my wife, and she's been taught to regard me as a wise and good man. I shouldn't like her views on that point disturbed.
Oh! Trust me, she shall never learn the truth from me.
You mean to do, we punctually appear.
Congratulate me, gentlemen, I found a volunteer.
The Japanese equivalent for here.
Tis Lenki-Poo. I think he'll do.
Yes, he'll do.
Here's his life, if I'll Yum surrender. Now I adore that girl with passion tender, and could not yield her with a ready will, or her a lot, if I did not adore myself with passion tender still, with passion tender still.
Ah, yes, he loves himself with passion tender still.
Take her Not you, Pooh. Nanky Pooh. She's yours.
The threatened cloud has passed on away. But though the night may come too soon,
'tis still a month of afternoon.
Then let the throng of joy dance with laughing song and merry dance. And let the throng of joy dance with laughing song and merry dance. With laughing song and merry dance. With laughing song. With joyous shout and joyous shout and ringing cheer. With all your rage, with all your rage, and with your ring. With joyous shout and joyous cheer. With all your rage and with your ring. With joyous shout and ringing cheer.
A day, a week, a month, a year.
Life's eventide comes much too soon.
You live at least a honeymoon.
Then let the throng of joy dance with laughing song and merry dance. Then let the throng of joy dance with laughing song and merry dance. With laughing song and merry dance. With laughing song. With joyous shout and joyous shout and ringing cheer. In all your rage, in all your rage, and with your ring. With joyous shout and ringing cheer. In all your rage, and with your ring. With joyous shout and ringing cheer. With laughing song, merry dance. With laughing song and merry dance.
As in a month you've got to die if Coco tells us true. 'Twere empty compliment to cry long life to Nanky Pooh. But as 1 month you have to live as fellow citizen, this toast with 3 times 3 will give. Long life. Long life to you. Long life to you. Long life to you. Till then!
your rebel cease, assist me, all of you.
Why, who is this whose evil eyes bring blight on our festivities?
I claim my perjured lover, Nanky Pooh. Oh, Pooh, to shun delights that never close.
Leave thy deadly work undone.
Come back, oh shallow fool, come back to joy.
Ill-favored one.
Ah, 'tis Catashaw, the maid of whom I told you. No, you shall not go. These arms shall thus enfold you. O fool that fleest my hallowed joys, O blind that seest no equipoise, O rash that judgest from half the whole, O beast that grudges love's lightest toll, thy heart unbind, O fool, O blind, give me my place, O rash, O base, thy heart unbind, give me my place, O fool, O blind, O rash, O base, thy heart
die. Thy knell is rung, rose lip, smooth tongue. Thy doom is nigh, thy knell is rung. Pink cheek, bright eye, rose lip, smooth tongue. Thy doom is nigh, thy knell is rung. Thy knell is rung. Pink cheek, bright eye, rose lip, smooth tongue. Thy doom prosecute your quest from more intentions well expressed. You cannot turn us. The state of your connubial views towards the person you accuse does not concern us. For he's going to marry Yum Yum. Your anger pray bury, for all will be merry. We think you had better succumb and join our expression of plea. On this subject I pray you be dumb. You'll find there are many who went for a penny. The word for your guidance is mum. There's lots of good fish in the sea. On this subject we pray you be dumb. We think you had better succumb. You'll find there are many who went for a penny. There are lots of good fish in the sea. There are lots of good fish in the sea. There's lots of good fish in the sea. There's lots of good fish in the sea, in the sea, in the sea, in the sea, in the sea. La 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 la. La 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 la. The hour of gladness is dead and gone. In silent sadness I live alone. The hope I cherished all lifeless lies, and all has perished, all is finished, save love, which never dies, which never, never dies. Oh, faithless one, this insult you shall rue. In vain for mercy, on your knees you sue. I'll tear the mask from your disguising.
Now comes the blow.
Prepare yourselves for new surprising.
How foil my foe?
No minstrel he, despite bravado.
I know.
He's the son of your... In vain you interrupt with this tornado. He is the only son of your... I'll spoil your gay gambado. He is the son of your... The son of your... Ye torrent roar, ye tempests howl, your breath outpour with angry growl. Do ye your worst my vengeance call, to rise triumphant over all? We fear no war, ill omen out, to joy restore, despite your scout. The echoes of our festival shall rise triumphant over all. Prepare for woe, ye haughty lords, at once I go.
And now, Act 2 of The Mikado.
Downcast eye, let it brim with dew. Try if you can cry, we will do so too. When your summons start, like a frightened roe, flutter, little heart, color, come and go.
Sometimes I sit and wonder, in my artless Japanese way, why it is that I'm so much more attractive than anybody else in the whole world. Can this be vanity? No! Nature is lovely and rejoices in her loveliness. I am a child of nature and take after my mother.
The sun whose rays are all ablaze with ever-living glory does not deny his majesty, he scorns to tell a story. He don't exclaim, I blush for shame, so kindly be indulgent. But fierce and bold in fiery gold, he glories all effulgent. I mean to rule the earth as he the sky. We really know the sun and I mean to rule the earth as he the sky. We really know our worth, the sun and I. Observe his flame, that placid dame, the moon's celestial highness. There's not a trace upon her face of diffidence or shyness. She borrows light that through the night mankind may all acclaim her. And truth to tell, she lights up well, so I for one don't blame her. Pray make no mistake, we are not shy. We're very wide awake, the moon and I. Oh, pray make no mistake, we are not shy. We're very wide awake, the moon and I.
Yes, everything seems to smile upon me. I'm to be married today to the man I love best, and I believe I'm the happiest girl in all Japan.
The happiest girl indeed, for she is indeed to be envied who has attained happiness in all but perfection.
In all but perfection?
Well, dear, it can't be denied that the fact that your husband is to be beheaded in a month is, in its way, a drawback. It does seem to take the top off it, you know.
I don't know about that. It all depends.
Well, at all events, he will find it a drawback.
Not necessarily, bless you. It all depends.
I think it's very indelicate of you to refer to such a subject on such a day. My married happiness is to be...
Cut short?
Well, cut short in a month. Can't you let me forget it?
Yum-Yum in tears, and on her wedding morn.
They've been reminding me that in a month you're to be beheaded.
Yes, we've been reminding her that you're to be beheaded.
Yes, it's quite true, you know. You are to be beheaded.
Now, some bridegrooms would be depressed by this sort of thing. A month? Well, what's a month? These divisions of time are purely arbitrary. Who says 24 hours make a day?
There's a popular impression expression to that effect.
Well, then we'll efface it. We'll call each second a minute, each minute an hour, each hour a day, and each day a year. At that rate, we've about 30 years of married happiness before us.
And at that rate, this interview has already lasted 4 hours and 3/4. It's time for tea.
Yes. How time flies when one is thoroughly enjoying oneself.
That's the way to look at it. Don't let's be downhearted. There's a silver lining to every cloud.
Certainly. Let's be perfectly happy.
By all means, let's thoroughly enjoy ourselves.
It's absurd to cry.
Quite ridiculous.
Brightly dawns our wedding day. Joyously we give thee greeting. Whither art thou fleeting? Pick a moment, prithee stay. Pick a moment, prithee stay.
What the mortal joys behollow?
Pleasures come if sorrows follow. Though the tocsin sound below. Until the shadows fall over one and over all. Sing a merry madrigal. Sing a merry madrigal. Sing a merry madrigal. La 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 creeping, little gate for woeful weeping, till the sad sundown is near, till the sad sundown is near.
I must sip the cup of sorrow.
I today and thou tomorrow, this the close of every song. Shadows fall, sooner, later, over all. Sing a merry madrigal. Sing a merry madrigal. Sing a merry madrigal. La 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 la
Oh, go on. Don't mind me.
I'm afraid we're distressing you.
Never mind. I must get used to it. Only please do it by degrees. Begin by putting your arm around her waist. There. Let me get used to that first.
Wouldn't you like to retire? It must pain you to see us so affectionate together.
No, I must learn to bear it. Now oblige me by allowing her head to rest on your shoulder.
Like that?
Thank you. I am much obliged to you. Now, kiss her. It's simple torture.
Come there, Rob. After all, it's only for a month.
Oh, no. It's no use deluding oneself with false hopes.
What do you mean?
My child, my poor child. How shall I break it to her? My little bride that was to have been.
Was to have been?
Yes, you never can be mine.
What? So much!
I just ascertained that by the Mikado's law, when a married man is beheaded, his wife is buried alive.
Buried alive?
Buried alive. It's a most unpleasant death.
But who did you get that from?
Oh, from Pooh Bah. He's my solicitor.
But he may be mistaken.
So I thought. So I consulted the Attorney General, the Master of the Rolls, the Judge Ordinary, and the Lord Chancellor. They're all of the same opinion. Never knew such unanimity on a point of law in my life.
But stop a bit. This law has never been put in force.
Oh, not yet. You see, flirting is the only crime punishable by decapitation, and married men never flirt.
Of course, they don't. I quite forgot that. Well, I suppose I may take it that my dream of married happiness is at an end.
Darling, I don't want to appear selfish, and I'd love you with all my heart. I don't suppose I shall ever love anybody else half as much. But when I agreed to marry you, my own, I had no idea, pet, that I should have to be buried alive in a month.
Nor I. It's the very first I've heard of it.
It makes a difference, doesn't it?
It does make a difference, of course.
You see, burial alive, it's such a stuffy death.
Oh, I call it a beast of a death.
You see my difficulty, don't you?
Yes, and I see my own. If I insist on your carrying out your promise, I doom you to a hideous death. If I release you, you marry Coco at once.
Here's a howdy-do, if I marry you. When the time has come to perish, then the maiden whom you cherish must be slaughtered too. Here's a howdy-do, here's a howdy-do.
Here's a pretty mess, in a month or less. I must die without the wedding, let the bitter tears I'm shedding witness my distress. Here's a pretty mess, here's a pretty mess.
Here's the state of things, to her life she clings. Matrimonial devotion doesn't seem to suit her notion, burial it brings. Here's the state of things, here's the state of things.
With a passion that's intense, I worship and adore, but the laws of common sense we ought to ignore. If what he says is true, he's got to marry you. Here's a pretty state of things, here's a pretty howdy-do. Here's a pretty state of things, a pretty state of things.
Here's a howdy-do,
here's a howdy, here's a howdy-do. For if what they say is true, I cannot marry you. Here's a pretty, pretty state of things.
Here's the state of things, to her life she clings. Matrimonial devotion doesn't seem to suit her notion, burial it brings, burial it brings.
Here's a pretty state of things, here's a pretty howdy-do. Here's a pretty state of things, a pretty state of things.
Here's a howdy-do,
here's a howdy-do. For if what you say is true, I cannot marry you. Here's a pretty, pretty state of, here's a pretty, 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 pretty state of things. Here's a pretty howdy-do.
here's a howdy-do.
Here's a howdy-do. For if what you say is
state of
Here's
things.
a howdy-do.
To her life she gives a pretty matrimonial devotion. Doesn't seem to suit the notion. Burial it brings, burial it brings. Here's a pretty state of things. Here's a pretty howdy-do. Here's a pretty state of things, a pretty state of things.
Here's a howdy-do.
Here's a howdy-do. For if what I say is true, I cannot marry you. Here's a pretty state of, here's a pretty state of things. Here's a pretty howdy-do. Oh, my poor boy. I'm really very sorry for you.
Oh, thanks, old fellow. I'm sure you are.
You see, I'm quite helpless.
Oh, yes. I quite see that.
I can't conceive anything more distressing than to have one's marriage broken off at the last moment. Oh, but you shan't be disappointed of a wedding. You shall come to mine.
Oh, that's awfully kind of you, but that's impossible.
Why so?
Today, I die.
What do you mean?
I can't live without Yum Yum. This afternoon, I performed a happy dispatch.
No, pardon me. I can't allow that.
Why not?
Why, hang it all, you're under contract to die by the hands of the public executioner in a month's time. Now, if you kill yourself, what's to become of me? I shall have to be executed in your place.
Well, it would certainly seem so.
Wait, now then, Lord Mayor, what is it?
The Mikado.
Oh, Mikado.
And his suite are approaching the city and will be here in 10 minutes.
Oh, the Mikado. He's coming to see whether his orders have been carried out. Now, look here, you know, this is getting serious. A bargain's a bargain, and you really mustn't frustrate the ends of justice by committing suicide. As a man of honor and a gentleman, you are bound to die ignominiously by the hands of the public executioner.
Very well, then, behead me.
What now?
Certainly, at once.
Chop it off, chop it off, chop it off!
My good sir, I don't go about prepared to execute gentlemen at a moment's notice. Why, I've never even killed a bluebottle.
Still as Lord High Executioner.
My good sir, as Lord High Executioner, I've got to behead him in a month's time. No, I'm not ready yet. I don't know how it's done. I'm going to take lessons. I mean to begin with a guinea pig and work my way up through the animal kingdom until I come to a Japanese tenor. You don't suppose I'd have accepted the post of Lord High Executioner if I hadn't thought the duties were purely nominal? I can't kill you. I can't kill anything. I can't kill anybody.
Oh, come, my poor fellow. We all have unpleasant duties to discharge at times. After all, what is it? If I don't mind, why should you? Remember, sooner or later, it must be done.
Must it? I'm not so sure about that.
What do you mean?
Why should I kill you when making an affidavit that you'd been executed will do just as well? There are plenty of witnesses. The Lord Chief Justice, the Lord High Admiral, Commander-in-Chief, Secretary of State for the Home Department, First Lord of the Treasury, and Chief Commissioner of Police.
But where are they?
There they are. They'll all swear to it, won't you?
Am I to understand that all us high officers of state are required to perjure ourselves in order to ensure your safety?
Well, why not? You'll be grossly insulted as usual.
Will the insult be cashed down or at a later date?
Oh, it will be a ready money transaction.
Very well, then, choose your fiction and I'll endorse it. Now, how do you like that, my family pride?
Yes, but I tell you that life without Yum Yum
Oh,
is
yum, bother Yum. Here, Commissioner, go and fetch Yum. Now take Yum and marry Yum, only go away and never come back again. Oh, here she comes. Yum, are you particularly busy?
Not particularly.
Have you 5 minutes to spare?
Yes.
Then, go along with His Grace, the Archbishop of Titipu. He'll marry you at once.
Oh, but if I'm to be buried alive...
Now, don't ask any questions, but do as I tell you. Nanky Poo will explain
Yes,
all.
but just a moment.
Not for worlds. Here comes the Mikado. And if he finds you alive, I shall have the greatest difficulty in persuading him that I beheaded you. Close thing that...
Chop, wait.
Here he comes.
every kind of man obedience I expect. I'm the Emperor of Japan.
And I'm his daughter-in-law elect. He'll marry his son, he's only got one, to his daughter-in-law elect.
My morals have been declared particularly correct.
But they're nothing at all compared with those of his daughter-in-law elect. Bow, bow to his daughter-in-law elect.
Bow, bow to his daughter-in-law elect. In a fatherly kind of way, I govern each tribe and sect, all cheerfully own my sway.
Except his daughter-in-law elect, as tough as a bone with a will of her own, is his daughter-in-law elect.
My nature is love and light, my freedom from all defect.
He's insignificant quite compared to his daughter-in-law elect. Bow, bow to his daughter-in-law elect.
Bow, bow to his daughter-in-law elect. A more humane Mikado never did in Japan exist. To nobody's second, I'm certainly reckoned a true philanthropist. It is my very humane endeavor to make to some extent each evil ever a running river of harmless merriment. My object all sublime, I shall achieve in time to let the punishment fit the crime, the punishment fit the crime, and make it prisoner pent, unwillingly represent a source of innocent merriment, of innocent merriment. All prosidal society sinners who chatter and bleach and war are sent to hear sermons from mystical Germans who preach from 10 till 4. The amateur tenor whose vocal villainy is all a desire to shirk shall during of hours exhibit his powers to Madame Tussauds waxwork. The lady who dyes a chemical red or stains her grey hair puce or pinches her figure is painted with a vigor. And a permanent one, a juice. The idiot who in railway carriages scribbles on window panes. We only suffer to ride on a buffer in a parliamentary terrains. Am I object all sublime? I shall achieve in time to let the punishment fit to the crime, the punishment fit to the crime, and make it prisoner pent, and willingly represent a source of innocent merriment, of innocent merriment.
His object all sublime, he will achieve in time to let the punishment fit the crime, the punishment fit the crime, and make it prisoner pent, unwillingly represent a source of innocent merriment, of innocent merriment.
Advertising quack who wearies with tales of countless cures. His teeth I vernacular shall all be extracted by terrified amateurs. The music hall singer attends a series of masses and fugues, and by barking to a woman spawn Beethoven and classical Monday pops. The billiard sharp whom anyone catches his speech extremely hard. He's made to dwell in a dungeon cell on a spot that's always barred, and there he plays extravagant matches in faithless finger strolls on a cloth on a true with a twisted keel and elliptical billiard balls. My object all sublime, I shall achieve in time to let the
punishment fit the crime. The punishment fit the crime.
And ich prisoner pit, unwillingly represent a source of innocent merriment,
He will achieve in time to let the punishment fit the crime. The punishment fits the crime. And ladies in the bed, unwillingly represent a source of innocent merriment,
I am honored to be permitted to welcome Your Majesty. I guess the object of Your Majesty's visit. Your wishes have been attended to.
Oh?
Yes, the execution has taken place.
You've had an execution, have you?
Oh, yes, the coroner has just handed me his certificate.
I am the coroner, Your Majesty.
Yes, I see. And this is the certificate of his death. At Titty-Poo, in the presence of the Lord Chancellor, Lord Chief Justice, Attorney General, Secretary of State for the Home Department, Lord Mayor, and groom of the second floor front.
They were all present, Your Majesty. I counted them myself.
Very good house. I wish I'd been in time for the performance.
And a tough fellow he was, too. A man of gigantic strength. His struggles were terrific. It was really a very remarkable scene.
Describe it.
The criminal cried as he dropped him down in a state of wild alarm. With a frightful, frantic, fearful frown, I bared my big right arm. I seized him by his little pigtail, and on his knees fell he. As he squirmed and struggled and gurgled and guggled, I drew my sticker steed. My sticker steed. Oh, never shall I forget the cry or the shriek that shrieked he. As I gnashed my teeth, when from its sheath I drew my sticker steed.
We know him well, he cannot tell untrue or groundless tales. He always tries to materialize, and every time he fails.
He shivered and shook as he gave the sign for the stroke he didn't deserve. When all of a sudden his eye met mine, and it seemed to brace his nerve. For he nodded his head and kissed his hand and whistled an air, did he, as a saber true cut cleanly through his cervical vertebrae. His vertebrae. When a man's afraid, a beautiful maid is a cheering sight to see. And it's oh, I'm glad that moment sad was soothed by sight of me.
A terrible tale you cannot say when truth is quite uncreased. Her taste exact for falsehood's fact amounts to hard disease.
Now, though you'd have said that head was dead, for its owner dead was he. It stood on its neck with a smile well bred and bowed 3 times to me. It was none of your impudent offhand nods, but as humble as could be. For it clearly knew the deference due to a man of pedigree. Of pedigree. And its oh, I vow, this deathly bow was a touching sight to see. The troublous yet, it couldn't forget the deference due to me.
He's more to you, he speaks the truth whenever he finds it pays. And in this case, it all took place exactly as he says. Exactly as he says.
This is very interesting, and I should like to have seen it, but we came about a totally different matter. A year ago, my son, the heir to the throne of Japan, bolted from our imperial court.
Indeed. Had he any reason to be dissatisfied with his position?
Oh, none whatever. On the contrary, I was going to marry him, and yet he fled.
I'm surprised he should have fled from one so lovely.
That's not true.
No.
Now you hold that I'm not beautiful because my face is plain. Ah, but you know nothing. You are still unenlightened. Well, learn then that it is not only in the face that beauty is to be sought. Well, my face is unattractive.
It is.
But I have a left shoulder blade that is a miracle of loveliness. People come miles to see it. My right elbow has a fascination that few can resist.
Allow me.
As for my circulation, it is the largest in the world. And yet he fled.
And is now masquerading in this town disguised as a second trombone.
A second trombone? Yes. Would it be troubling you too much if I asked you to produce him? He goes by the name of...
Nanky Poo.
Oh, Nanky Poo.
It is quite easy to produce him. That is, it's rather difficult. In point of fact, he's gone abroad.
Gone abroad? His address?
Niagara-on-the-Lake.
See here, his name, Nanky Poo, beheaded this morning. Oh, where shall I find another? Where shall I find another?
Dear, this is all very tiresome. My poor fellow, in your anxiety to carry out my wishes, it seems that you have beheaded the heir to the throne of Japan.
I beg to offer an unqualified apology.
I desire to associate myself with that expression of regret.
We really hadn't the least notion.
Of course you hadn't. How could you? Come, my poor fellow, don't distress yourself. It was really no fault of yours. If a man of exalted rank wishes to disguise himself as a second trombone, then he must bear the consequences. It really does distress me to see you take on so. I've no doubt he thoroughly deserved all he got.
Well, we are infinitely obliged to your majesty.
Much obliged, your majesty.
Very much obliged, your majesty.
Obliged? Not a bit. Don't mention it. How could you tell?
Well, of course, we didn't know who the gentleman really was.
Wasn't written on his forehead, you know.
No, it would have been written on his American Express card, but he must have left home without it.
I forget the punishment for compassing the death of the heir apparent.
Punishment?
Yes, it's something lingering with boiling oil in it, I fancy. Something of that sort. Though I think boiling oil occurs in it, but I'm not sure. I know it's something humorous. But lingering. Either boiling oil or melted lead. Come, don't fret. I'm not a bit angry.
If your majesty will accept our assurance, we had no idea.
I knew nothing about it.
I wasn't there.
Aha! See, that's the pathetic part of it. Unfortunately, the fool of an act says compassing the death of the heir apparent. There's not a word about a mistake.
No.
Or not knowing.
No.
Or having no notion.
No.
Or not being there.
No.
There should be, of course.
Oh, yes.
But there isn't. That's the slovenly way in which these acts are always drawn, however. Cheer up. I'll have it altered. Next session.
Now, let's see about your execution. Will after luncheon suit you?
Can you wait till then?
Oh, yes, we can wait till then.
Splendid. Then we'll make it after luncheon.
I'm really very sorry for you all, but it's an unjust world.
And virtue is triumphant only in theatrical performances.
Well, a nice mess you got us into with your nodding head and your deference due to a man of pedigree.
Merely corroborative detail intended to give artistic verisimilitude to an otherwise bald and unconvincing narrative.
Corroborative detail, indeed, corroborative fiddlestick.
And you're just as bad as he is with your cock and bull stories about catching his eye and his whistling in air. When a man's afraid, a beautiful maid is a gas.
Oh, yes? And what about your big right arm, huh?
Yes, and your snicker sneeze.
Well, never mind that now. There's only one thing to be done. Nanky Poo hasn't started yet. He must come back to life again at once. Here he comes. Here, Nanky Poo, I've news for you. You've been reprieved.
Oh, but it's too late. I'm a dead man, and I'm off for my honeymoon.
Nonsense! What are you talking about? A terrible thing has just happened. It seems you are the son of the Mikado.
Oh,
Mikado.
Oh, yes, but that happened some time ago.
Is this a time for airy persiflage? Your father is here, and with Katisha.
My father? And with Katisha?
Yes, he wants you particularly.
And so does she.
Oh, but he's married now.
Oh, but bless my heart, what has that to do with it?
Katisha claims me in marriage, but I can't marry her because I'm married already. Consequently, she will insist on my execution, but if I'm executed, my wife will have to be buried alive.
You see our difficulty.
Yes, I don't know what's to be done.
There's one chance for you. If you could persuade Katisha to marry you, she would have no further claim on me. In that case, I could come to life without any fear of being put to death.
I marry Katisha?
I really think it's the only course.
But my good girl, have you seen her? She's something appalling.
Oh, but that's only her face. She has a left elbow that people come miles to see.
Yes, and I'm told that her circulation is much admired by connoisseurs.
My good sir, I decline to pin my heart on any lady's circulation.
Well, it comes to this. While Katisha is single, I prefer to be a disembodied spirit. When Katisha is married, existence will be as welcome as the flowers in spring. The flowers that bloom in the spring, tra-la, breathe promise of merry sunshine. As we merrily dance and we sing, tra-la, we welcome the hope that they bring, tra-la, of a summer of roses and wine, of a summer of roses and wine. And that's what we mean when we say that a thing is welcome as flowers that bloom in the spring. Flowers that bloom in the spring. Tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la.
The flowers that bloom in the spring, tra-la, have nothing to do with the case. I've got to take under my wing, tra-la, a most unattractive old thing, tra-la, with a caricature of a face, with a caricature of a face. And that's what I mean when I say or I see. Oh, bother the flowers that bloom in the spring, tra-la-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la-la, bother the flowers of spring.
Tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la. Tra-la-la-la-la-la.
Katisha!
I've got to take under my wing, tra-la, a most unattractive old thing, tra-la, with a caricature of a face, with a caricature of a face. And that's what I mean when I say or I sing, oh, bother the flowers that bloom in the spring, tra-la-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la-la, oh, bother the flowers of spring.
Tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la-la.
Katisha!
Alone and yet alive. O sepulchre, my soul is still my body's prisoner. Remote the peace that death alone can give. My doom to wait, my punishment to live. Hearts do not break, they sting and ache for old love's sake, but do not die. Though with each breath they long for death, as witnesseth the living eye, the living eye. Oh, living eye, come tell me why, when hope is gone, doth thou stay on? Why linger here where all is drear? Oh, living eye, come tell me why, when hope is gone, doth thou stay on? May not a cheated maiden die? May not a cheated maiden
Katisha. Katisha. Katisha.
Oh, the miscreant who robbed me of my love. Well, vengeance pursues. They are heating the cauldron.
Katisha, behold a suppliant at your feet. Katisha, mercy.
Mercy? Had you mercy on him? See here, you slain my love. Well, he did not love me, but he would have loved me in time. I have an acquired taste. Only the educated palate can appreciate me. And I was educating his palate when he left me. Well, he is dead. And where shall I find another? It takes years to train a man to love me. To go through the weary round again, and at the same time implore mercy for you, who robbed me of my prey. I mean my pupil, just as his education was on the point of completion. Oh, where shall I find another?
Here.
What?
Katisha, for years I have loved you with a white-hot passion that is slowly but surely consuming my very vitals. Ah, shrink not from me. Katisha, if there is aught of woman's mercy in your heart, turn not your back upon a love-sick suppliant whose every fiber thrills to your tiniest touch. True it is that under a poor mask of disgust, I have endeavored to conceal a passion whose inner fires are boiling the soul within me. But the fire will not be smothered. It defies all attempts at extinction, and breaking forth all the more eagerly for its long restraint, declares itself in words that will not be weighed, that cannot be schooled, that should not be too severely criticized. Katisha, I dare not hope for your love, but I will not live without it. Die!
You whose hands still reek with the blood of my betrothed, dare to address words of passion to the woman you have so foully wronged.
I do. Accept my love, or I perish on the spot.
Go to. Who knows so well as I that no one ever yet died of a broken heart?
You know not what you say. Listen.
On a tree by a river, a little tom-tit sang willow, tit, willow, tit, willow. I said to him, Dicky bird, why do you sit singing willow, tit, willow, tit, willow? Is it weakness of intellect, buddy, I cried, or a rather tough worm in your little inside? With a shake of his poor little head, he replied, oh, willow, tit, willow, tit, willow. He slapped at his chest as he sat on that bough, singing willow, tit, willow, tit, willow. And a cold perspiration bespangled his brow. Oh, willow, tit, willow, tit, willow. He sobbed and he sighed, and a gurgle he gave. Then he plunged himself into the billowy wave. And an echo arose from the suicide's grave. Oh, willow, tit, willow, tit, willow. Now I feel just as sure as I'm sure that my name isn't Willow, tit, willow, tit, willow. That 'twas blighted affection that made him exclaim, oh, willow, tit, willow, tit, willow. And if you remain callous and obdurate, I shall perish as he did, and you will know why. Though I probably shall not exclaim as I die, oh, willow, tit, willow, tit, willow.
Die of love.
He really did.
Oh, all on account of a cruel little hen.
Yes.
Oh, poor little chap.
Oh, it's an affecting tale and quite true. I knew the bird intimately.
Did you? Oh, he must have been very fond of her.
Oh, his devotion was something extraordinary.
Oh, poor little chap. And if I refuse you, will you go and do the same?
At once?
Oh, no, you mustn't. Oh, anything but that. Oh, I'm a silly little goose.
You are.
And you won't hate me if I'm just a little teeny weeny wee bit bloodthirsty, will you?
Hate you? Oh, Katisha, is there not beauty even in bloodthirstiness?
Oh, my idea. Exactly. There is beauty in the bellow of the blast. There is grandeur in the growling of the gale. There's an eloquent outpouring when the lion is a-roaring and the tiger is a-lashing of his tail.
Yes, I like to see a tiger from the Congo or the Niger, and especially when lashing of his tail.
Volcanoes have a splendor that is grim, and earthquakes only terrify the dolts. And to him who's scientific, there is nothing that's terrific in the falling of a flight of thunderbolts.
Yes, in spite of all my meekness, if I have a little weakness, it's a passion for a flight of thunderbolts. If that is so, sing derry down derry, it's evident very our tastes are one. Away we'll go and merrily marry, nor tardily tarry till day is done. Hiya! Extreme old age. Do you fancy you are elderly enough? Information I'm requesting on a subject interesting is a maiden all the better when she's tough.
Well, this white dominion, it's the general opinion that she'll last a good deal longer when she's tough.
Are you old enough to marry, do you think? Won't wait till you're 80 in the shade. There's a fascination frantic in a ruin that's romantic. Do you think you are sufficiently decayed?
To the matter that you mention, I have given some attention, and I think I am sufficiently decayed.
If that is so, sing derry down derry, it's evident very our tastes are one. Away we'll go and merrily marry, nor tardily tarry till day is done. If that is so, sing derry down derry, it's evident very our tastes are one. Away we'll go and merrily marry, nor tardily tarry till day is done. Sing derry down derry, till merrily marry, nor tardily tarry till day is done.
Capital luncheon and we're quite ready. Have all the painful preparations been made?
Your Majesty, all is prepared.
Then produce the unfortunate gentleman and his two well-meaning but misguided accomplices.
Mercy! Mercy for Coco. Mercy for Pity Sing. Mercy even for Pooh Bah.
Beg your pardon, I don't think I quite caught that last remark.
Mercy even for Pooh Bah, sir.
Mercy. My husband that was to have been is dead, and I have just married this miserable object.
Oh, you've not been long about it.
Oh, we were married before the registrar.
I am the registrar, Your Majesty.
Yes, I see, but my difficulty is that as you have slain the heir apparent...
Oh, but the heir apparent is not slain.
Bless my heart, my son.
And your daughter-in-law elected.
Traitor! You have deceived me!
Yes, I think you deserve a little explanation, but I think you would give it better whole than in pieces.
Oh, well, Your Majesty, you see, it's like this. While it's true that I stated I had killed Nanki Poo.
Oh, yes, for the most affecting particulars.
Merely corroborative detail intended to give artistic verisimilitude.
Will you refrain from putting in your oar?
Now, Your Majesty, it's like this. When Your Majesty says let a thing be done, it's as good as done. Practically it is done, because Your Majesty's will is law. Now, Your Majesty says kill a gentleman. Consequently, a gentleman is told off to be killed. Well, that gentleman is as good as dead. Practically, he is dead. And if he is dead, why not say so?
Yes, I see. Nothing could possibly be more satisfactory.
For he's gone and married Yum Yum.
Yum Yum.
Your anger may vary, for all will be merry. We think you had better succumb. And join our expressions of plea.
On the subject we pray you be dumb.
Dum dum, your notions so many.
I'm not worth a penny.
The worth of your guns is none.
Mum, you've a very good bargain indeed.
On the subject we pray you be dumb. We think you had better succumb. You would, there are many who would for a penny, who would for a penny. There are lots of good fish in the sea. There are lots of good fish in the sea. There's lots of good fish in the sea. There's lots of good fish.
soon.